Well, hello and thanks for watching another episode of News of the Pews, where you can count on unapologetic 2A advocacy. Gun rights are human rights. Now, as fun as it is to ridicule lawyers, I know they're not actually all evil.
And some, I assume, are good people.
Lots of them are out there working tirelessly to defend innocent people from an aggressive court system or to champion our rights. But lawyers have this reputation for getting away with terrible, evil things simply because they're technically legal. Like when Mark McCloskey gave his wife a broken gun to defend their home. Or that time Mark McCloskey smashed up a synagogue's beehives instead of talking with them because the hives were technically on his side of the property line. Or how Leticia James keeps persecuting legitimate businesses and destroying their livelihood, not because she's in the right or even technically legally right, but because she has access to infinity stolen tax dollars and the people targeted by her witch hunt don't. And because she's desperate to stay in office after getting caught in sex scandals and corrupt real estate dealings. An attorney general who just did her job diligently would never survive federal indictments, but James knows the kind of scumbag who wants agents of the state to do violence to her peaceable neighbors is also the kind of scumbag who would vote for her no matter what corruption she gets caught in, so long as she continues to use the violence of the state to oppress the rights of her peaceable neighbors. Her latest victim is Mean Arms, who settled for $1.7 million simply because some asshole shot up a church and previously used a Mean Arms MA lock on his gun. The MA lock was a product designed to comply with New York's unconstitutional SAFE Act by preventing the removal of a magazine. But Leticia argued that because it's not welded to the gun and made of vibranium, that because it can be disassembled by mere human tools, that means the product does not comply with New York's draconian and unconstitutional laws. There are only two massive problems with that logic. The first is that even in guns that have fixed magazines by default, like the SKS, the magazine is still removable. Not one thing formed by human hands is truly permanent. But to remove the MA lock, you need a broken screw extractor and a few minutes of gentle cussing. The other problem is that if someone were to remove the device, that someone is the person violating New York's unlawful statutes, not Mean Arms. But right, wrong, and truth are unimportant to courts and lawyers, and all that really mattered was that Leticia James can steal all the money she needs to pay for her court cases and Mean Arms can't, leaving them in a pretty difficult position.
I am in a pickle!
But hey, it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without you. So if you're in a comfortable place in life, please help us stay in a comfortable place in life by contributing to our tip jars down there in the doobly-doo, joining this channel, or buying one of these sick t-shirts for just 15 bucks. If you're not in a comfortable place though, remember, you don't owe us a thing. Please enjoy this 2A propaganda at the price of free 99 and continue to pray for us. You know how I'm telling you almost every other day that we have to be vigilant in our opposition to gun control in other states because that nonsense spreads like a pestilence? Well, California's Glock ban is already infecting Connecticut. Because even though machine guns are already illegal for us poors at the federal level, and even though Connecticut already has an unconstitutional statute banning bump stocks, binary triggers, and actual machine guns, nutmeg state control freaks are pushing for a ban on handguns with a cruciform trigger. This 72-year-old with the deer in the headlights look is Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont, and he feels so strongly about keeping the lower classes under his boot heel that he introduced HB 5043 to ban so-called convertible pistols, which he defines as having a cruciform trigger bar that can be readily converted to full auto. So the bill would appear to only apply to older Glock models and clones, along with a few other pistols with cruciform trigger bars. But irrespective of definitions, any self-loading gun can be readily converted to full auto. They all yearn for the bird because, well, you have to include parts which stop a gun from continuing to load and fire if you want it to be semi-auto. That's just one more reason homemade gun bans are so incredibly foolish. If you make the penalty for having or making a gun the same as it is for having or making a machine gun, do you think you're gonna wind up with more machine guns or fewer? But the blue team outnumbers the red team by a substantial margin in Connecticut. You folks know I don't carry water for anti-gun Republicans, but if we're being honest, the blue team tends to be far more hostile to your gun rights, and when it comes to predicting outcomes, party makeup plays a big role. But don't let that be your excuse to do nothing.
Nothing.
When your grandkids ask you why you didn't even try, will you feel better in telling them, it's probably inevitable, so I just didn't bother? No, you won't. We've got plenty of time to stop this, and we won't stop it by electing Republicans. We will stop it by telling D's already in office that D voters will unseat them in the primary if they support gun control. So please stop what you're doing right now and call 860-240-0100 and give them a number between 06001 and 06907 so they can select a finely aged politicritter for you. Then tell that politician's staffer that you will actively campaign for the opposition in the primary if they vote for HB 5043. Then hang up and call again. Well, folks, rounds complete on 2, but before I go, your moment of completion. I love you.
Here's the problem. I am mounting my new Starlink and I don't have a drill. So I think that will work as a drill bit. We got to make sure this is nice and level. Right about there. Oh no, it will not fit. Let's do it again. Oh, she fits.